Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to ranking every roguelike ever that we've ever played. Look, let me break down the tiers for you. S tier is one place
Your Majesty.
for the royalty of roguelikes. A tier is really good. You enjoy it. You'll play it a long time. B tier is like, hey, you have it with a cup of joe. C tier is, hey, you flush it down the toilet. F tier means you wouldn't walk it down the street, and haven't played means, hey, it's okay. All right. So this is a list of every roguelike we've ever played. So I can assure you this is not rage bait. This is our honest opinions. So let's get right into it. Let's start. And I reserve the right to maybe, after we see what's on the table, maybe do a little shifta. Okay. First and foremost, let's start with, let's ease on into it. Vamp Survivors, very topical, built a new genre, was something like we never played before. Sure, it took everything from Castlevania, but I put it in the A to B tier. What's really good about it? New genre defining, good graphics, good music, tremendous gamba. Would you recommend this to a friend? Yeah, you would. Like, I don't know anyone you wouldn't recommend it to. I think it's really B plus A minus, but hey, we like Vamp, we'll give it the benefit of the doubt. So it's an A. It's not life changing, but it is genre defining. All right. Next up, 20 minutes to the Mars Volta. This actually just came out in 1.0 release, so I can't speak too much on it. I do remember having fond memories. We're gonna take a look at it after we do this tier list, but I'd put it in. I mean, it's definitely a Vamp clone. Should a Vamp clone touch a Vamp? I call it playable. Playable plus. Okay, playable plus. I'll give that playable plus. But I you know what? I think that's one of the better ones. So we'll be it. Hit it with a B. Backpack Hero. I gotta say, I don't remember much about it. It's not bad, but would I recommend it? I don't know. You just slap some stuff in a backpack. It's almost like we need to add one more tier called forgettable. You know what I mean? I feel like we're one tier away, because I don't want to throw this in F tier, but I'd say C is just like, it's okay. I don't know if I can add one if it's too late. Oh yeah, add a row.
Let's go.
There we go.
Hades F tier dang pause.
I would, you know, let's just call this let's call this forgettable. Forgettable about it. Forgettable. Forgettable. There we go. All right. I just put it there. So it's not BM, you just don't remember much about it. All right. Don't even know what this game is, so I'd throw that forgettable. Should we know what that is? What is that game? I don't know what that game is, so it's definitely forgettable. Isaac, look, you already know. This will set the boundary right here. Isaac Rebirth sets the boundary, chat. You know, it's the grandpappy of your grandpappy. Big S++ tier. I don't think anyone in the world would debate that Isaac is not an S tier roguelike. If you do, please send me a postcard at 3050 Union Lake Road, Suite 8F number 201, Commerce Township, Michigan 48382. If you want to debate this, don't comment below. Send me a postcard and tell me why you think Isaac is not S tier. Book of Demons, forgettable, don't remember it. BPM, forgettable, don't remember it. Brotato's an interesting one, right? Because I feel like, you know, chat and the community really held out on Brotato. No one really told me it was that good. It could be, we've played a decent amount of it. I think it's definitely B plus tier for sure. It's definitely not, it's higher than C. Brotato, it takes the Vamp genre and squeezes it into one room. I really like it. Yeah, could it use a better name? Probably. Could it use better font? Sure, but the gameplay is really fun. And we also have to take some credit for chat not telling us the game was good. All right. Crab Champions. I know this may ruffle some carapaces, but I put it in the C tier. It's like, hey, is it fun for one session? Yes. 2 sessions? Yeah. More than that? Like this is a good roguelike to give to maybe like your 12-year-old cousin who's never played a roguelike. This could be like a gateway roguelike because it's basically just like wow. Cult of the Lamb to me, I don't think is a roguelike. So maybe we add one more and say not a roguelike. Not rogue, because it's not a roguelike. It's like a single player non-roguelike-icity. Let's make it gray. It's not a roguelike. Basically I thought Cult of the Lamb was good, but it's like a single player A to Z game that you finish that has like don't starve elements to it. It's definitely not a roguelike for sure. There's not a person in chat that would say this is a roguelike. If so, if this is, come out and say it's a roguelike, because it's not. It's not a roguelike. Cultist Simulator, don't remember it. Throw it in there. Dead Estate. Dead Estate, look. Take the eyes aside, right? Take the visuals out of it. I think it's a highly underrated roguelike. And I mean, just talking about it makes me want to play it. It could be A tier. It's actually B+ tier. I mean, this is if we're ordering this on top of ordering it, Dead Estate just, I don't know what it is, but it just never popped off. But I think it's a great roguelike for sure. So much so we're probably gonna play it right after this. Devil's Door, I think that's the vertical roguelike. I'm gonna say kind of forgettable. Dicey Dungeon. Look, if you worked on Dicey Dungeon, I'm not mad at you. It's basically just Microsoft Paint roguelike number simulator. I would put it in a forgettable, but it's a math game, and so for that I have to say I'll pass on that. But I think at its core there's an audience. There's an audience for it. It's just not. It's not me. All right, Dome Keeper. I'll put it in the C tier. I think if you like biodome simulations, you'll like it. But there's not much to it. You know what I mean? It's like you dig, you build, you dig, you build. You dig, you build, you dig, you build, you dig, you build, you dig, you build, you dig, you build on oh, sorry. Sorry. I mean, it's close. It's close, but that's where I would put it. Dungeon of Siege, I don't remember that. Put it in forgettable. Dust and Neon. Full disclosure, it was sponsored. I do remember it. I don't know if I can place that legally. If I can place that anywhere. So what is this one supposed to be? Nothing. Get this. Where do we do that? Where do we do that? Sponsored. Haven't played it. No, because they don't. They don't say. They don't say I can't say anything. For me, Dust and Neon. And this is not because como se dice, contractual obligations have not been filled on their end. I would put it's just where I would put it. Let's not dwell too much on it. I do appreciate their patronage. but also I appreciate our relationship. It's forgettable. It's a robot Western isometric roguelike. All right. GeoGuessr roguelike, F tier. If I wanted to play a map game, I'd take geography class, F tier for sure. Grifflands, I believe that was a card game. Don't remember too much about it, so put it in forgettable. Gwent, don't even remember playing that. Hitman Freelancer. Hitman Freelancer, I don't really count it as a roguelike. But I would probably put it there. I just don't. Is that when you had to go back B to B to B to B? It's almost not a roguelike, chat. I'm gonna throw it in not a roguelike. If it was a roguelike, it'd be A to B tier. It'd be A to B tier. Ace is an Adventure, also another sponsored game. I do think it was one of the better card games. I would put it in the average tier. I remember having a good time with it. I remember it being sponsored, but I don't remember like the sponsored segment going like, we get 2 hours yet. So I would definitely say it was a fun experience for sure. Balatro, it's really early to tell. In terms of fun level, it's definitely A tier. But in terms of getting access to the game, I would probably, I'd put it B tier for sure. Balatro is not fun to watch, I'll say it. Sleepiest Link. It's really fun to play. I think it's a very strong B. It's a very strong B. On the other hand, what is not a strong B for me is Darkest Dungeon 2. I wouldn't say it's F tier, but I would say it's very forgettable. They went from map to car, where if they just stayed car, or if they just stayed map, it would have been more fun. I think it was very difficult and not in a fun way. And to be honest, I expected more out of Darkest Dungeon 2. It's like Spelunky 1, Spelunky 2. Both are really good. Darkest Dungeon 1, really good. Darkest Dungeon 2.
Hell, Gary.
And it's not BM. It's just not as good as the original. Speaking of the original, I mean, this is a borderline A. You know what? I gotta put some daps on it, because if you put Darkest Dungeon next to Dead Estate, Brotato, Balatro, you're like, it doesn't belong. It's like squeaks on a first date. It's just something that you just don't see. So for that, Darkest Dungeon is one of a kind A tier for sure. For sure. How is Darkest Dungeon a roguelike? If you lose all your characters, the run's over. So it's a roguelike. All right. Dead Estate is on your story. Devil's Dive. FTL. Look. I reserve, chat. I reserve S tier for Majesty level.
Your Majesty.
Like when you're coming face to face with royalty, you're giving them Isaac. It's a no-brainer. Are you giving them FTL? Or are they gonna look at that and be like, you got a good soundtrack, you got tons of options, but is there enough there to put it into the Royal Archives? For me personally, is it up there with Vamp Survivors and Darkest Dungeons? Undoubtedly. Is there enough so it can touch the basement?
FTS tier.
For me, it's the greatest tablet roguelike of all time. But is that enough to get it to S tier? But right now, I'm gonna say no. We're gonna have to see what the rare air up in the S tier is, but it's close. It's close. It's close. It's close. Let's move forward though. I put an asterisk. It's close. We really haven't played it enough. Like, we won a couple runs. It's pretty good. Maybe there's future Suffer Core. it's interesting. It's interesting. All right, next up, Halls of Torment, the Diablo Vamp Survivor. To me, do I think it's more fun than all of these three? Yes. I'd put it low B tier. I'd like to play more of it, to be honest. It's just, you know, we stall. But I would have no hesitation saying, are you going to enjoy Halls of Torment better than Crab Champions, Dome Keeper, Ace? Yes, you will. All right. Next up, Inscription. So this is, to me, it's not S tier, it's not A tier, it's not B tier, and it's not C tier. It's basically like 7th Guest Resident Evil with cards. So for that reason, I'm gonna say it's not a roguelike. It's not a roguelike. But I think it's a good game. It's a good game. Jupiter Heck is, I don't remember that. That must be the Doom. Is that the Doom game? Next up, Monster Train. I never played it. So I'll throw that in forgettable. Luck Be a Landlord. I'm gonna tell you right now, we're talking here. I don't know if it's here, but if you've never played Luck Be a Landlord is a pure Gamba roguelike where you control a slot machine. It's pretty good. I mean, maybe I put it like low A tier. No way it's above FTL. It's pretty close. It's pretty close. It's pretty close. It's pretty close, but I'd put it there if we're ordering these. Luck Be a Landlord, big pogs. All right. Mr. Sun's Hatbox sponsored, so let's throw that on the table. But I will say this, it was a lot of fun, probably one of the most fun co-op roguelikes. To me, it's like a tweener. I would have no problem recommending it. It's definitely more fun than Crab Champions. I would put it here, but I feel like chat would say it's bought and paid for, so I put it in the high C tier. It's really good. It's really good, but not quite in the Halls of Torment area. All right. Now it gets a little. Never played Mortal Shell DLC, so to me that's not a roguelike. Now let me get a few of the lesser known ones. Ricky Henderson, baseball player. Don't know what that is. Shogun Showdown was sponsored. I liked it. I put it low C tier. It was unique, did some unique things. I think it was pretty good, just not our kind of game. Outer Terror. Sponsored. A little rough around the edges. But we do appreciate their patronage. Sponsored. We're sponsored. I have to at least say it's sponsored. Okay. Played Up. I don't really consider Played Up a roguelike. You get that out of here. Shovel Knight Dig, to me, is a great C tier roguelike. If you never played it, it's kind of not a roguelike though. It's not a roguelike. As much as I want to like that game, I do like it, but chat doesn't like it. It's not a roguelike. Played Up is 100% a roguelike. No, it's not. It's a serve-like. It's a serve-like. It's 100% serve-like. All right. Now we're getting to the meat and potatoes. Sifu is a fighting game. It's kind of like a blend of Tekken and Street Fighter, so that is not a roguelike in any stretch of the imagination. Streets of Rogue. I mean, to me, it's high forgettable tier, but I know a lot of people like it. For me, I'm just like, it's like Lego roguelike, and there isn't like, it's a lot of chibi art, but not a whole lot going on. I'd put it in the forgettable tier. A lot of people recommend it, and you fire it up, and you're like, something's missing, you know, something's mad, you know, something's not right. All right, next up, a couple more. Void Eagle, one of the newest action roguelikes to come out. I think what holds Void Eagle back, in my opinion, it's like they chefed up the macaroni a lot, right? So like the macaroni noodles, instead of being yellow, they're like neon. But I think it is better than Crab Champions and Dome Keeper. So I put it in the C tier. Like, we could play a couple runs of it and it's going to be fun. And then you're going to be like, we have nuclear thrown at home. which I know Nuclear Throne. This is my thoughts on Nuclear Throne. Every gaming con I went to from 2012 to 2016, Nuclear Throne was there with a big marketing presence, and nothing changed. It was just, hey, here's Nuclear Throne, here's Nuclear Throne, here's Nuclear Throne. Nothing's new, nothing's new, nothing's new, nothing's new, nothing's new. So for that, it's unforgettable. I don't like the screen shake. I don't like it. It just is. For me, it's not C tier. All right. I'm sorry. You invented screen shake and roguelikes. I'll put it in the high forgettable tier. All right. It's just that's not it. You're not that guy, pal. You're not that guy. All right. Couple of these already doubled up. That's okay. We got a couple left here. All right. No, it wasn't too hard. It just wasn't fun. There's a difference between being hard and being fun. Tape to tape, roguelike, high C tier. High C tier. Tape to tape.
Ooh.
Using my sub to pre-jack my rage about where Hades is going to end up.
So, tape to tape, one of the best sports roguelikes for sure. Luke, happy birthday. Tape to tape, one of the best sports roguelikes for sure. Great gameplay, great building. I liked it. Definitely a high C tier roguelike for sure. Next up, Peglin. We found Peglin early, and we said, Frost, this would be a great game for you. I think Peglin's a little slept on. But then when I see Frost play it, I'm like, it's like it's like an aquarium. Peglin's like an aquarium. When you go to a friend's house, they got an aquarium, they got all these cool fish, you're like, this is amazing. And then you look at the bubbling, all the frozen shrimp pellets, the pH levels. You're like, I'd rather just look at that. I don't want any part of it. I don't want to manage it. That's kind of how I feel about Peglin. You know, so for that, I put it in the C tier. That's personally. I think it's a good game. But when I see the pipes coming out of the aquarium, I'm like, I'm good. I'm good. Vaganti, I very much don't remember, but I think it's definitely up there. You know, I think this is like as close to a Souls-like, roguelike as we've gotten. It's just, I don't remember much about it, but out of respect, it's not forgettable. All right. Warm Snow, this full redaction, this was sponsored. I put it in the low C tier because I remember it. I remember fighting a boss. There was boss fights in it. It was a little Monka-S. All right, it was kind of forgettable, but it was sponsored, so thank you. What's the point of putting forgettable tier if you don't put games you forgot into it? I guess I am. All these games we played, I don't remember anything about them. Which means two things. They're forgettable. That means like if you play it, it'd be like, eh. And two, I also forgot. All right. Let me see if there's any other. TV Kid. I truly don't even remember that. I don't know if that's Smash Brothers, but I know we did a first look at it. I just don't remember it. So it's not Dicey Dungeons here, but it's close. Zero Seaford, you know, shout out to Zero Seaford. This was a randomly like 250,000 YouTube view video, known as the Tarkov roguelike. That's more fun than Tarkov, which is true. But I put it like here. Like, if you want a Tarkov roguelike, that's your option. But if you want to play Tarkov, are you even going to play Tarkov? No. So why would you want more Tarkov? Maybe. I think once you got a fill of Tarkov, and I feel like this is infected by the Tarkov bug. So because it's infected by the Tarkov bug, it's like we've had our fill of Tarkov. You know? So we don't have Neon Abyss on here. So let's treat this like Neon Abyss. Neon Abyss is a hard B tier. Hard B, like capital B. I wish I could rename that. We don't. This is Neon Abyss. Okay, so let's just pretend. All right, now we're to the more popular ones. All right, now to the popular ones. Here's what we got left. Let's ease on into it. Let's ease on into a universal take right now. Okay, Returnal, the first AAA roguelike. There's never been a AAA roguelike ever. I don't know if there'll be another one because I don't think Returnal sold very well. However, at its core, great polish. Could do without the storyline. The gameplay core is fun. Does it belong in the king's circle? This is like the hand of the king. I think it's more Varus. It's like Varus. Varus is not part of the king's hand, but he's trying to get in. Returnal is the greatest AAA roguelike of all time. That we've never beaten. It's maybe it's the true Souls-like, but it's fun. It's fun. So I put, so that's a very respectful placement. All right, so here's what we got left. Rogue Legacy 1 was really good. They instituted the lineage system where if little Timmy died, then your next character would be little Timmy Jr. or little Timmy Jr. the third. I put it as a B classic. Like, are you gonna recommend it to someone that loves roguelikes? Yes. Are you gonna recommend it to your 10-year-old cousin? No. Does it belong up there with Vamp? No. For as much as we like Rogue Legacy, it was always missing the it factor. You know, there was it, and it was more of just a T period. You're like, where's the I? And then they're like, well, the I is gonna be in Rogue Legacy 2. Of course it's gonna be in Rogue Legacy 2. And they're like, Rogue Legacy 2 didn't have the T or the period. It was just like, here's the same game with nothing different. So for that, we put Rogue Legacy 2 in the forgettable tier. Rogue Legacy 1 B. Rogue Legacy 2, I couldn't tell you what's different between Rogue Legacy 1 and Rogue Legacy 2. So for that, I'm gonna say it's forgettable. But it's definitely better than, more rememberable than, actually I don't remember much about it. What do you oof oofa. All right. This one's Super Auto Pets. Super Auto Pets is most indefinitely not a roguelike. There's not even roguelike elements in Super Auto Pets. It's basically a number first simulator that takes the numbers off Hearthstone and makes it more fun than Hearthstone, but definitely not a roguelike. That's in there. All right, here's what we have left that we have not rated. I think we can all agree on Noida. All right, Noida's got the difficulty. It's got some DAE. It's got the fun factor. It's got the heavy roguelike. It's got a codex. It's a lot of fun. Cons against Noida, little hard to see, but Twitch likes to watch it. I definitely consider it better than Luck Be a Landlord, better than Darkest Dungeon, better than Vampa, better than FTL. Like, this is knocking on the door of S. Like, that's how close. This is 100% better than Noida. Is hands down better than FTL. It's just a matter of, it's got its foot in the door, but is it wearing a Sunday night robe or is it wearing a Saturday night especiale? I don't know, but I know it's better than FTL for sure. All right. Next up, we got a few hard decisions to make here. A few hard decisions. First up, well, let's start with an easy decision. Enter the Gungeon. This is a tough one. Enter the Gungeon's tough because Enter the Gungeon at night wears Chantilly lace. Like, it's really good. Is it transformative? Is it just like the best of the best? A couple things come to mind. It's difficult, it's fun, there's boss fights, tons of synergies, but there is that little missing, like, this run has a chance to pog up. It's like Chantilly lace comes to your door at night and you're like, yes, you're great, but I didn't call you. You didn't call me. You just kind of showed up. So for that, I put it in the highest A tier possible. Like, there is no, if we're letting one person in the door, it's Gungeon. Like, that's the first one in. But I just don't believe it to be like, you've, like, if you're sending a capsule of roguelikes to Mars and there's only room for 3, I don't know if Enter the Gungeon's gonna have enough oxygen to make it. I just don't know. Like, you hope, maybe it can Matt Damon it and grow some potatoes, but I just don't know. I don't know. All right, couple more. Speaking of room on the capsule going to Mars, I think it's fair to say Spelunky's there. Derek Yu will be the first one with the spacesuit on. Spelunky 1, it's got everything. It's got difficulty, great music, great gameplay, twists and turns. The moments where you die and you're like, it's not on you, it's on me. Like, this is quite possibly one of the most perfect games of all time. Even in the code, if you look at the 1s and 0s and you shove it into a machine on the other end, it's going to input one word. Perfect game. Spelunky definitely belongs there. It's amazing. And in its same regard, Spelunky and Spelunky 2, I don't even consider separate games. They're based, they're an extension.
Cerise is gifted 3 months of tier 1 to Skelly_Jelly. They've gifted 148 months in the channel.
Spelunky 2 to me, this is like Godfather 1, Godfather 2. You can't even consider them separate movies. You can't have one without the other. Spelunky 2 is as of same level of greatness as Spelunky 1, and then some. It's like, how do you get better than Godfather 1, Godfather 2? And it's like, well, they're the same movie, but better. Same thing. This is a dual entity. Like, at the end of Elden Ring, you realize Morgott is also, Malenia is also Sephiroth. Same thing. And then you gotta say, hey, look, and this is where, look, not rage bait. Do you put Enter the Gungeon in a Spelunky sandwich? No, Spelunky says hold my beer. That's why. You know what I mean? Like, it's not fair to Enter the Gungeon that it just doesn't have the same greatness. It's great, but it's not great. You know, that's where it's different. It's like, if there is no Spelunky, is there room for Enter the Gungeon on the Mars capsule of roguelikes? There is, but I'm sorry, sir. There's no room for you. All right. Next up, a little bit easier ones. Risk of Rain 1. Outside of the fact you need bifocals to look at it, it's a really fun game. So much so that they're redoing it, so you don't need bifocals to play it. In terms of fun level, I probably put it right. It's a solid B tier. Maybe without the bifocals, so that in case you didn't know, they're redoing Risk of Rain 1 with the graphics bigger and better. But I think you have to respect greatness. It's good. But you need bifocals to see the game, so for that reason, it's B for sure. Risk of Rain 2 to me is the World of Warcraft of roguelikes. Is it fun? Yes. Are there synergies? Yes. Are the graphics okay? So in terms of like, when placing these, you got to ask yourself, is it more fun than the game above it? Is it more fun than Returnal? No. Dedestate? No. Brotato? Definitely not. Risk of Rain? No. Balatro? Nope. I would much rather play all of these games than Risk of Rain 2. Some people may forget it, but I'll say it's a solid C tier. Omnitoad coming in with the triple question marks. I think I explained the reasoning. It's a solid average. It's like, hey, look, you're a teacher. You're in first grade math. Can the kid do 5 plus 5? Yes. Can they do 7 plus 3? Yes. Can they do the question at the bottom that says what's 10 minus 1? No, that's okay. That means you're just average. And that's okay for some games to be just average or average plus. You're still going to get your degree. You're still going to be successful. You're still going to sell a lot of copies if you're average. This is like average plus. I just think these other games are more fun. All right, now we got a couple left here. All right, we got a couple left, and these, look, I didn't save the most controversial for the end. But let's just say we've got some passionate ones at the end. All right. I think we start with maybe the most passionate. You got Dead Cells. You talk about premier 2D side-scrolling roguelikes. There is no other ones besides Spelunky, in my opinion. Like, Dead Cells is a Castlevania of roguelikes. It's got great music, great difficulty, tremendous cosmetics, great game loop, very understandable progression. So you ask, why? Like, with all that, what does it not have? I don't have an answer for you. It's got everything and then some. It's got the Chantilly lace. It's got the Pog. Now, I'm trying to remove streamer bias because you can't make a roguelike tier list based on Twitch watchability. But in terms of what game I would most likely to play, would I play Dead Cells over Luck Be Landlord? Yes. Over Darkest Dungeon? Yep. Over Vamp? Yep. Over FTL? Yep. Over Noida? Yep. Over Enter the Gungeon? Yep. So then the question says, if it's good enough to be A tier, does it belong in the S tier? It's worth the discussion. If the only reason that it wouldn't get a seat in the toppest tier of roguelikes is because people don't like watching it as much on Twitch, is that a real reason to deny Dead Cells a seat on the first rocket ship to Mars? I don't know. So you've got, when you're deciding what roguelikes you're going to send to Mars, you can't worry about people watching it on Twitch. So for that reason, Dead Cells is without a question in the S tier of roguelikes. We'll take our +2s in chat. This one was hard because you got to take out your personal goals out of it. It's just a great game. What does it not have? It's got everything. All right. Now the last two. Slay the Spire. Arguably the best card roguelike of all time. It's beloved, right? Slay the Spire. Name a better card roguelike. You can't. You really can't. But just because it's the best card roguelike, does that mean it deserves to be up there with the best? Like, yes, it's fun. Yes, the graphics are good. Yes, there's good music. Yes, there's good variety. But is flipping cards deserving of a seat in the Mars lander? You can just send a deck of cards up there. Did it do anything revolutionary? It became the first card roguelike. Yes. Outside of being the first card roguelike, does that mean it's better than Balatro? And would I rather play Slay the Spire or Balatro? I mean, that's what you're talking about. You're talking about, because you really can't compare it to these because it's a different genre. So you got to ask yourself, would I rather play Slay the Spire than Risk of Rain 2? Undoubtedly. More than Rogue Legacy? So does it belong in the B tier? I don't think so. I don't think it belongs in the B tier. I think it's up in the front seat. I think it's leading the C+ drive. I think it's leading the C+ drive because, and it's sitting there because it was first of its kind. It was like the first kid in math class to be like, hey, there's an extra credit question on the back of the exam, but I don't know how to figure it out. So you give them credit for being the first, but not enough to be like, hey, I'm gonna tell your parents you did really well. So I put it in like a respectable C+, B- tier. Personally, that's for me. And the last one. Hades. So let's talk about Hades objectively here. Hades is a very popular game. Has tremendous Steam reviews. Has a unique graphical style. Some may argue they stole a lot of it from Diablo, but we're gonna put that aside. It's got a lot of text, a lot of lore, and a lot of the same thing over and over and over again. None of which happens to be a roguelike. Like 100%, all of these games are more roguelike than Hades. Every one of these. Hitman, Super Auto Pets, Cult of the Land, Inscription, Mortal Shell DLC, Played Up. These are all more roguelike than Hades. But we reserve the right to, even though something is not a roguelike, I feel it's disrespectful to these games. Like Hitman, Freelancer, and Hades don't belong in the same paragraph, let alone the same breath. So for that, we actually have to do something. And my apologies for not having this ahead of time. We need to make a another row. Right here, called the TT- tier, which, you know, for reasons, it's not a roguelike and it's not F tier. Like, I don't know what you get in school for less than an F, but that's where Hades belongs to me. The graphics, no thank you. Color palette, no thank you. Zero roguelike elements. It's a story game and it's not really fun. So for those reasons, it's trash tier minus. Now, keep in mind this is just one humble roguelike player's opinion.
Dan pacing Gungeon and abandoning his S-rank dead cells is all you need to know. Danglool.
I'm just telling you this right now. I played a lot of roguelikes. So like you may have played like 3 or 4. You may not have been through the gambit like us. All right. We've been through the gambit. We played everything. We search and we sniff for roguelikes left and right, up and down. So we don't make this list effervescently or half reared. This is serious stuff. Now, to really put a cap on this, I would like you, the live studio audience, to please rate this tier list on accuracy. 0 meaning it's not accurate, 100 meaning it's the most accurate of all time. We'll put it on there. But I would like you to, I want you to take this serious, where like you could take this list and be like, man, I don't know what to play today. You take this, you'll never be disappointed. Play some Isaac, play some Spelunky, play Spelunky 2, play Dead Cells, play Enter the Gungeon, Noida. You won't be disappointed. The only way you'll be disappointed is if you start in the bottom tier. Like, oh, can this game be this bad? It is. Don't play it. What was the average on this one? 80?
Remember, this man was on a reality show, so take his tears with a grain of coke.
But let me know what you think in the comments below. We put our heart and soul into this list. Roguelikes next to Souls-likes are our favorite genre of game. It's personal. You know, for me, this is personal. It's like bearing my soul. It's like sharing you my deepest, darkest secrets. It's right here in a tier list for you. So So while I don't ask you to take it easy on me, I just say, hey, maybe put aside your preconceived notions about a game like Noida or Spelunky, or even maybe your prefabricated hype for a game like Hades, and say, is it worth pondering? I think so.